Commander Cockins and Captain Foley yet again for another Trekyards mission briefing, the weekly discussion show, relax show, theorised show where we just take a ship of the Trek universe, or not. Well, yes, but side Trek universe. Anyway, these shows help us develop new information and see what you guys think to help us with the full episode later on.
This week we're going to be discussing a fan-created ship, one that was posted on the Trekyards Facebook page, and we decided to add it to our list for mission briefing.
Yeah, that we did. This is the Polaris Class, designed by Michael Wiley, as a brand spanking new future ship launched in 2399.
With a length of 775 meters, she was 100 meters longer than the Sovereign class. So guys, without further ado, let's take a look at this first picture.
And I like this ship already.
It's a very cool design.
So the back. I haven't actually got a model. Normally I'd have a model, but I don't actually have one for this. I was going to preamp. No, this is
Samuel doesn't have a model of something. Oh my god.
No, this is a ship I saw on our Facebook, and I was like, yeah, I really want to talk about this because it's such an interesting design. Yeah. So first of all, what do you see in this first picture, Stuart? What does your eye go to? What do you think?
Well, the secondary hull, the way it protrudes out, and the observation deck or whatever it is right above it. Is that an observation deck or?
I don't know. I haven't seen that. Possibly.
Yeah, that's what I see initially. So.
Yeah, I really like that neck. It's interesting, and it's really interesting, you know. But it gives more room for that deflector. I like the sleek curves of it leading to the end. Those engines are cool. That's a really interesting progression because they feel more armored at the same time, more advanced. And how sleek everything is. And I see a captain's yacht right at the front there, I think.
Oh, very cool.
Right at the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the next one is a top shot, even more detail. A lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah, I'd say.
Wow.
Is that like the bridge at the front there at the top? Is it open glass? Because I'm looking at this ship, and I'm seeing a lot of J.J. Price design influences.
Are you?
Look at those engines.
Okay.
They've got the bigger front end.
Okay. Yes.
With the kind of the shrouding along the front of the nacelles.
Okay.
Also the struts, those two lights pointing down.
Okay.
JJ has those too. So I'm wondering if that's maybe a part of the influence for that front. Because that'd be kind of cool for a futuristic design to have half the bridge just be glassed off.
Well, I think based on the scale, that seems a very, very large bridge. I think that's probably just an observation lounge / deck above the bridge.
That might be cool too. Yeah.
But yeah, look at that. There's the black detailing in front of the bridge or in front of the bridge module part. That's interesting. It really helps give it that extra color or lack of color, and it gives it all extra. It's all about detailing, and the Sovereign class has a lot of just detail they just sort of put in, and this all takes a lot of thought, you know. I like the small deflector dish as well, or the secondary deflector dish, I should say, at the front.
Very Voyager-esque.
Yeah, and there's a hell of a long phaser strips.
Well, same as the Sovereign, I guess.
Yeah. And NX, so this is the prototype one, 92300.
Very cool.
It all blends in together so well, doesn't it? If you look at those, that curvature to the secondary hull, it's just one long curve in. Wow.
All right, so let's go to the next picture. That's a very interesting view. That I like a lot. The beefiness of that neck portion. And I think that's exactly what this is. It's a marriage between a Sovereign class and the J.J. Prize. Because if you look at those spotlights pointing down on those struts, even underneath the secondary hull at the back there, that lighting, it's very reminiscent of J.J. Enterprise. And I think those engines are a good evolution of J.J.'s design. So.
Yeah, I see this more as a Sovereign being pushed forward into a larger ship. And obviously they've gone back to more of the D aesthetic because necks are famous in Star Trek. So how do you add a neck to an E, but at the same time bulking everything out? And that's the vibe I get. Very small impulse engines though, considering the size of the ship. Very, very small.
Yeah, well, there might be more that we're not seeing just based on this view. I don't know.
Yeah, but that really, the neck is very interesting, isn't it? It gives it a really beef feeling. And if you look at the engines, is the top of the engine not glowing, but the bottom part is?
Yes, the top is not glowing at all.
Oh,
just the bottom is.
That is interesting detailing. There is what looks like hull detail, which could theoretically they could pop them off and have blue glass engine parts there. But I don't know. But it's interesting. That's again, everything takes thought with these fan created designs. I'd love to know why.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
I'm wondering where the shuttle bay is.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute, I think. So the next picture is very interesting. Wow, this is... I think you can definitely see now the marriage between the D and the E there with the neck.
Yeah.
Big ship. Those engines are huge. This is like the Excelsior of the of the TNG world. They've really pushed the size out. Wow.
Yeah, it's almost like we know that the Sovereign was more a military ship, so
yeah,
not as big and luxurious as the D.
Yeah.
But I mean, this looks like the next step towards that, trying to get back to that non-wartime kind of ship. Very big, lots of room, luxurious, but based on the previous designs, I think.
Because they have a lot of hull space. They've really beefed that up. I mean, you can fit a lot of people in that. And what I see, I didn't see this from any other pictures, but that curvature of that saucer is really interesting. It's nowhere near as sleek as it looks from the top. Because what I see, especially with this scale comparison chart, is I see I'm pointing, but you can't see it because it's wrong screen. But the sleekness of the Sovereign, that's that first layer, and then the second layer of the Polaris is a much more gradual curve like the D. Like they put one on top of the other almost. Not exactly, but it creates this interesting effect. I know it's just the phaser strips, but it changes the whole vibe. It doesn't make it feel as aggressive, but it gives it a nice flow. It's interesting.
Yeah. And those engines, I don't know if I like the forward kind of strut look.
Okay.
I don't know. I prefer like the ease look where it's swept back. Yeah. So it would have been cool to see like a version that had a swept back version.
Well, I think it's again a callback to the D, that vibe.
Absolutely, it is.
Makes the whole thing feel more stocky.
Yeah.
But it really, I mean, that is a hell of a design choice to put that sort of neck and then pull the secondary hull all the way out. I mean, that gives it such an odd feeling, but we know from the other angles it looks really good. Although, again, there's black glass, what looks like in between. There's torpedo launchers. I didn't necessarily think they were, especially from the first photo. They don't actually look like torpedo launchers, but yeah, they're not, as far as I can see. It's interesting. And again, I love how gradual the angles are into secondary hull. It's just one big piece, but they managed to sleek out so nicely. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's a great design.
Yeah.
All right, so the next picture, countdown to slipstream.
Yes.
They have a slipstream drive.
Yes. Part of this is that it is after the Vesta, which is the first slipstream, so it is part of its new design, hence the, I guess, humongous deflect dish. Then again, you can see that it doesn't look like torpedo launchers in the neck. It definitely looks like windows, which is really interesting, because where on earth are the torpedo launchers then? Oh, I guess they're below the deflector. There are two little bumps above the two white parts.
Could be.
Yeah, and there's definitely one in front of the captain's yacht, I would say.
That's what I was just going to say, yeah.
It's interesting. And the detailing is very bumpy on the bottom of this ship. I don't know, it comes out and then goes in, and then I don't know, the grey bits and the darker grey. It's interesting. Do you think those? No, they can't because it hit the ship. Also, there's three. Let's find that. It has again a different vibe from this angle. Again, like each angle gives it a different perception. Like this angle doesn't feel like a Sovereign at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting the way that. Just changing an angle totally changes your perception of a ship. And just seeing it at one specific angle doesn't necessarily mean you get a feel for how this ship is constructed or designed at all.
Yeah.
So.
And in this picture, do you think the nacelles are pointing in or back in this version?
What do you mean, in or back?
Well, I mean, like you say, like the Sovereign or like that the way you prefer it would be pointing back.
Oh.
In this version, it kind of looks like they are. I don't know if
it does look like they are, yeah.
Does it feel more natural for you now if you can trick your brain to believing that?
Yeah, it does.
So the next picture is an after shot. There is your shuttle bay, but
awesome.
Two shuttle bays. There's one at the bottom of the spine, I guess, with a massive landing pad area. I guess that's maybe some link to the Titan, because that has a large landing bay area. And then you've got another one like the D, I guess like the because there's one for each. At the top of the prime saucer, I should say, which is a big one. It's a big one. And one nice detail you've got is bringing back the Enterprise A impulse crystal.
Yeah.
And
looks like a pool.
It does.
Or a jacuzzi.
That'd be cool, you know. Put a dome and just like slipstream.
This ain't no impulse crystal.
And I think underneath the impulse crystal there are 2 impulse engines.
Yeah.
So I guess, but that's still very few impulse engines given the size of the ship. I'm really surprised.
No, I don't think so. It's same as the Sovereign.
Yeah, but they're more obvious. They're more bulky.
True, but this is more advanced. So
absolutely.
Advanced, they get smaller. So
absolutely. And do you think if you see underneath the impulse engines of the neck, there are 2 red parts with grey? I think those are torpedo launchers. They're a little bit recessed, but I think they could be aft ones.
Don't see why not.
Yeah. And again, black detailing, which is really interesting. I wonder what that means.
Just looks cool, probably.
Yeah. Although not a lot of aft phasers. A lot of ships tend to have more phaser arrays. This just has 2 phaser strips.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was looking for more phaser arrays, but so far I count like 4.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, 2. Yeah. And those engines, again, a different feel. This angle, they almost have got no blue and red, almost. They look very...
They're very cool looking. I like that top, the graduation into the bigger front part. I like that it's ramped up like that instead of just so, abrupt.
Or even because it's so sleek, it's like this sort of in between, yeah. And the red lines, great placement. Although it looks very much like one of the JJ phasers, that exact stepstone. I think of the Into Darkness version. Yeah, but it's interesting.
So the next picture we got saucer separation, which is always cool to see in any ship.
Wow, that's impressive, actually. Wow, that bottom ship almost works on its own.
I was gonna say that. It's a very complete feeling ship.
Yeah, wow. Huh. And with all the detailing of the saucer again makes it feel very cool. Wow. That's awesome because obviously this guy built the 3D model, and the 3D model he built to be able to separate. Yeah, that's a oh, and there's phaser strips on the top of that. So they have phaser strips hiding in the ship the whole time. That's great.
Well, of course there are. There was on the D too.
I know, it's just kind of funny to see.
Yeah.
So the next photo is again a shot from the back, a different perspective of how it splits, much more of an angular now part of the saucer, I guess. And again, you can now see the still got a light with saying the Polaris on the front, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I love how that comes out. The saucer, how there's a part missing from the back, and it gives that really sleek feel. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, this is a very neat design that he did here with that. Even just the shape of that attachment point for the secondary hull. I love that.
That's definitely part of the gradual neck element, is to give it that extra curvature, which helps separation, so it can just sort of pop off and have that great curve. I'd love to see a battle or even some renders of this flying to separate. Would look really interesting. That's cool. It does feel like an evolution of the Sovereign as well. It does feel like a very natural where they would go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And deflector crystal looks great. never too advanced to not have an impulse crystal.
Exactly. And another cool shot of the separation from underneath this time.
Wow.
I like the registry number and stuff there. Yeah. Where they have it. That's cool.
And you can see the indents where the phaser strips would have been. I like that. It's just good thought, you know. Although a lot of escape pods. Wow, on the underside of the saucer. Serious.
I'd say.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, there's even the USS Polaris on the side of the saucer. Interesting. But yeah, it definitely goes very deep into the saucer, which is interesting. But it just adds to the whole effect. It's very cool. Yeah. And the next one is the captain's yacht. Cool. There's a lot of detail in it. Although if you're in a space battle, you didn't really want the Bassards that obvious.
It's a Defiant design, right? Some kind of look as the Defiant. Yeah. So if you notice too, you see the photon torpedo launcher just up above the in there. Now this captain's yacht. If we're going to move to the next picture, very interesting design. It looks like a cross between the Chaffrey shuttle,
the Defiant style one.
No. There's a Chaffrey class shuttle that is like motion picture kind of era shuttle, but a cross between that and like the Defiant. It's got the Defiant kind of engines.
Yeah, but there is, like I said, Defiant shuttle, which is pretty similar in design. This is just a more beefed out version. It's interesting. If you go to the next photo, you can see full orthos for it, because we all wondered what it is.
Oh, nice.
And that definitely an evolution of the Defiant. And you can see more of the scout ship in the angle of the nacelles.
Mm-hmm.
I love the warp, the Defiant style warp, blue at the back, red at the front. Really sleek, really nice.
Yeah, are those landing gear on the bottom? I see those dark patches.
Could be, absolutely, yeah.
It has like 2 landing gear instead of 3 because I don't see a front one.
Gravitationalness.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's a cool little design all on its own for sure.
Oh, yeah, and it definitely looks bigger than the other captain's yacht. So you can
maybe it's more like the Aero shuttle from Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next picture we got, evolution of a design. He looks like he did a refit here. And he's got his original design there. That's
what
cool.
A guy. He wanted to push his own designs forward. And it's kind of a confusing picture. Difficult to work out, although I think the refit looks more detailed than the deflector. He's redesigned that. But I do know, because we've prepped these sort of, that if you go to the next picture, this is the refit, so you can actually look at it more focused. And some of the differences. That's actually quite different. Actually, the front navigational deflector's gone. It looks like
replaced by a 10 forward kind of
possibly
there.
The phaser strips have evolved now into a less sovereign style, even though the Aztecing is close to a sovereign, which is interesting. The engines have now got yellow components, which is cool, more like the D, which I like.
Yeah, callback.
The bridge is changed. Remember we said the big window's gone. Now it feels like that part is actually where the bridge is, which is interesting. I definitely like the black. Well, the black's still there, but I love the dark grey flowing.
Yeah.
That's really nice. They have that a bit in the Sovereign at the back, and it really adds something. I don't know. It's difficult to describe. It's cool.
Just it adds definition.
Yes.
I guess would be the best way to describe it. All right. So the next picture is again same ship, but older style shuttle bay.
Yep. Yeah, they've lost the deflector crystal. Oh.
Yeah.
The curvature of the spine now has more on each side, but has an element that comes in, which is interesting. And the impulse engines are now even thinner, but red now.
And there's only those 2. There's no supplementary ones up there in the middle.
That's interesting.
So this is the refit version, right?
Yeah, this is his refit. A lot more panel lines, a lot more Aztec, and he's really detailed it out in terms of texturing to give it more of an advanced feel, which is interesting. And then the picture, the next one, you've lost the captain's yacht. First of all, is now just a spot, I guess. Might still have it, might just have to eject off and it'll be there. Definitely torpedo launcher there, but the deflector is very different. The deflector is now a much more older school sort of bat style deflector, but then pulling out a bit. It looks like the neck is much more gradual. Neck comes out further.
Yeah, I kind of like the way that the front of that secondary hull looks as opposed to the other one. I like this one a little bit better.
It blends better, doesn't it?
Yeah, the bottom of this saucer is very much like the Sovereign. It's even that central shape is very much Sovereign-esque to me.
It's very
kind of
flat
like the
as
other
well.
one better.
It's very, very flat. It's interesting. And I don't necessarily like as much the curvature now, because now it looks like the secondary hull, that curve from the deflector up is much more Excelsior-y and then pulls back much thinner. But I like the red of the warp drive. Now it's got elements above and below, which the other one doesn't. It's now more integrated.
Yeah, so if we go to the next photo, that is the first photo. So it's a good comparison between the two, the original and the refit. So
a lot of differences. A lot less bulky, a lot sleeker, I think.
Yeah.
Because we can go between them, but it's a bit more difficult with the edit. But yeah, it's they feel like slightly different eras. I think this version definitely feels more like the Vesta. Whereas the other version feels more like a Sovereign, which is interesting because it's the refit now. I guess maybe that was the test bed and they just went with the technology, because if the Vesta was meant to be the basis of the technology, and then they built it into the warship, which is why I guess they've detailed out a sovereign, maybe? There you go, canon reasons. I don't know.
Sure, yeah. There are aspects of the original one that would have liked to see carry over to the refit, though. Mainly the extra blue glowy parts on the front of the nacelles there. I think that makes a better look.
Yeah.
And I like the bottom of the, well, let's say the bottom of the saucer. But now I'm looking at it and thinking, the refit's actually a little bit better.
A lot to discuss, guys, and this has been a really fun fan creation. And it's always great when you have a full 3D model to go around. Any last thoughts, Stuart, of the Polaris class and refit?
Well, yeah, it's a cool ship. I think it's a great evolution, next step as far as following the Sovereign class design. And I would love to see this thing in like Star Trek Online or something. I think that'd be awesome.
And what's nice to me, it doesn't feel like a pure warship. It feels like
like a Galaxy class.
Yeah. It gives it that real, just bulkier feel, which doesn't sit with battleships. It's difficult, but I think you guys probably see it too. Some of you. And that is it for a very special look at the awesome Polaris class. Some designs just click with you, and this one I love. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please put it in the comments below. I'm sure Michael will be looking out for them, so please do. And obviously, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, check out our weekly releases at Trekyards.com, and join us on the Trekyards Facebook, where we just keep, talking about ships every day, pretty much. Doesn't end really. Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome though.
Yeah. And of course, if you can and are able, please do support us on Patreon, because anything will help us to keep making great content. So anything a month would be amazing, and just keep the show coming out to you regularly. And yeah, remember guys, if you have a ship you want to see, please do put it in the description below, and even if it's a fan created ship, we might be interested. So yeah, let us know. And that is it until next time, guys. So have a great week. Bye.
Bye everybody.